Welcome to SR&ED Newsletter 2003-1. On December 19, 2012, the Canada Revenue Agency consolidated its SR&ED directives into a single document. They claim this does not represent any new policy, but the document does remove ambiguities and provide additional clarification in certain areas. One of the notable clarifications is the comparison of the CRA's three-step eligibility criteria to the 5 steps used by the Tax Court of Canada. This letter examines these directives in the form of a project documentation template. The Income Tax Act defines SR&ED as systematic investigation in a field of science or technology by experiment or analysis. It can be basic or applied research, but a notable addition to the definition was the inclusion of the term experimental development, which is defined as, quote, work undertaken for the purpose of achieving technological advancement, for the purpose of creating new or improving existing materials, devices, products, or processes, including incremental improvements thereto. This leads claimants to the obvious question, what is a technological advancement? The Canada Revenue Agency defines an eligible SR&ED project as, quote, a set of interrelated activities that collectively attempt technological advancement by overcoming technological uncertainty while being pursued systematically by qualified individuals. Notably, the terms technological advancement and systematic investigation are the only of these terms used in the Income Tax Act. A 5-step process has been outlined by the courts in various cases, including the landmark case of Northwest Hydraulics. They basically ask questions about 1. Risk or uncertainty, 2. The definition of hypotheses, 3. Use of the scientific method, 4. Resulting technological advances, and 5. Retaining accurate records of the work. It should be noted that question 2 also includes its own 5-step process to evidence the testing of hypotheses. In the author's view, this 5-stage process is a great guideline on how the claimant should document an SR&ED project. The judge clarified the steps required to illustrate a scientific hypothesis, including A. Observation of the subject matter of the problem, arguably defining the field of science. B. The formulation of a clear objective. C. Identification of the technological uncertainty. D. Formulation of hypothesis to reduce the uncertainty. And E. Systematic testing of the hypotheses. These steps outline the scientific method, as further addressed in the judge's question number 3. Based on the pronouncements of the Tax Court of Canada and the Canada Revenue Agency, we propose the required steps for documenting an SR&ED project would be: Step 1A, define standard practice for the fields of science in question. Step 1B, define objectives that go beyond standard practice, or thinking outside the box. Step 2, correlating experiments to uncertainties, which we propose requires identifying the key variables for experimentation. Step 3A, ensure the work is done systematically by documenting experiments and comparing results to objectives. And Step 3, clarify the conclusions or advancements, which involves explaining results by deeper understandings of the interaction of the stated variables. In comparing the tax court's 5 main questions to the CRA's 3 eligibility criteria, we can note that many of the tax court's questions address 2 or more components of the project documentation process. For example, question 1, was there a scientific or technological uncertainty that could not be removed by standard practice? Within the project template of the scientific method, this would be addressed by collecting information from 3 separate steps. Step 1A, defining standard practice. Step 1B, defining objectives beyond standard practice, and Step 2, defining the uncertainties we intend to research. Similarly, question 3 of the tax court asks, was the adopted procedure consistent with the scientific method? While the CRA claims this only relates to their content criteria, we would argue that it contemplates all 5 steps of the documentation process. Arguably, the 5-step process for the development and testing of a hypothesis, as outlined in question 2 of the tax court, provides a logical breakdown of how to document a project versus listing what is ultimately required. While this matchup is a positive step in the right direction, we believe that further improvements in client comprehension could be made by stressing the need to define A, the state of standard practice at the outset of the work, B, the variables of experimentation, and C, the use of the scientific method. The balance of the newsletter illustrates where the courts have further addressed these issues within their pronouncements. Whether you are an SR&ED claimant or you assist companies in filing claims, we welcome you to test the R&D-based software to 1. Compile shred projects online, 2. Upload all data to your income tax software, and then leverage this information to claim patents and implement intellectual property strategies.